Alrighty, folks. Well, welcome. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for the opportunity to come out here again, DataVox as well, to come present to you guys. So I'm Mitch Patel. This is my buddy Sergio here. We're going to be going through talking about securing the age of AI. I know AI is a very popular topic nowadays. And so we kind of wanted to walk you through just in terms of one, the threat landscape we're seeing around AI, why it's important. And then Sergio's going to jump into the actual components that we have within Microsoft to help our customers protect against AI. So I'm going to do more of just a quick overview of how things are going. And then he's going to dive into some of the demos and all of those technical components of it. So let's get started. Yeah, takes 2 clicks. So first, just kind of wanted to walk through just the first generative wave of how AI apps were built, right? I'm going to build this out. Whoops, went too far. So as we all know, when AI first came out, very generic, right, in terms of just being a conversational chat bot, something go give a question to and it came back with an answer, right? And that evolved over time into doing more actual automation and doing other types of other things for you, right? We could build things with the AI bot and do some really cool things, right? How many of you here have used Copilot? Right, so you guys, yeah, it's pretty cool, right? It can help go summarize your teams, your emails, all those components, right? From there, it became prompt engineering. We have RAG patterns. The application flows, right, became more hard-coded. But you can kind of see that we went from just a regular conversational chat bot, which technically was a little bot tied to a Q&A on the back end and this retrieving the answers, to this highly sophisticated model here that we see, where there's so many different components now that are connected, back from the LLM model to the application, to the prompter, to the users, right? So it's become more complicated, and as things get complicated, new things happen, right? Now we have agentic AI, right? This is now where we can actually have it go reason for us in terms of, okay, I built the bot, give it instructions to go do X, Y, and Z, but if it hits an actual point where it has to make a decision, we're going to allow it to go do that, right? This is when things get a little bit scary, right? Because now we're running into what we've all have heard, Skynet, right? Like, are we actually activating Skynet? Is it going to go do something that I want to go do? Possible, right? Of course it's possible. It's AI, right? But at the same time, we want to be able to still leverage this because it's very powerful in terms of a tool. But the thing is that we need to understand that there are threats that are going to be that are being opened up by this, right? More risks that are open to this. Now, let me kind of dive into where agentic AI and those use cases were the most popular ones that we're seeing in terms of why it's more powerful, right? Things from virtual assistants, right? So we've seen call center being able to automate the call center components, having someone come help you with a password reset. My machine has issues with it. Can somebody quickly get me onboarded and help me with these things, right? To just all the way through sales enablement, like the being able to help you do training, right? Go back to a knowledge base and do other things in that aspect to get you skilled up on specific solution areas, right? I'm not going to go through all of these, but as you can kind of see, there's things in every specific area within an organization where these bots can help you, right? The one I want you to kind of focus on is the data-driven insights and decision supports, right? These are really rich models that we will tie a bot to like a large language model data store. It can go use that to go make decisions on, right? These are things that we need to look at and start protecting in terms of, one, from the AI perspective, as well as where are those various threats going to be. So now let's kind of speaking of Skynet, right? Let's kind of talk about some of that threat landscape and AI attacks and what we're seeing, right? So as you go through this slide here, just focus on the left side. Yep, your left. The AI usage, AI agents, right? All those things in blue. And if you kind of look through these things I want you to kind of understand is that there are threats that are attacking almost every segment of the model, right? In terms of where you need to be concerned with. There's sensitive information disclosure. Will the AI bot have access to confidential data? If you give it access to it, yes, it will, right? Threat poisoning, right? So we have training data. Let's say you have a disgruntled employee that's hearing that we're going to build an AI bot to take over your role. They're going to start poisoning the data that the AI bot's going to use so they can justify that you still need me. Highly possible, right? I've heard stories about this. An agent or an AI bot stealing a model and then leveraging that for something else, right? So as you kind of go through and look at all these things, prompt injection is another popular one that we're seeing a lot more, right? Putting hidden prompts within a copy and paste model. How many here have done coding and developed code, VB script, PowerShell? We've gone to Google, looked up something. Oh, that looks good. Copy, paste into a script, run it. Sweet, it worked. What if there was something hidden in that prompt you didn't see and you just submit something to an AI bot and, oh crap, the network's going down, right? So we need to be able to detect prompt injection as well, right, from the AI perspective. So what are the challenges here, right? I kind of didn't want to scare you too much about the AI world, but I want you to understand that the threat is real. And these are the challenges that we're seeing in terms of where these security teams are trying to figure out, how do I get better equipped? Lack of agent visibility. Where are all the agents? Who deployed them? How many do I have? Limited transparency to agent interactions. Is a human interacting with it? Is an agent talking to another agent about it? Are they communicating and going, oh man, we can do all these cool things and drop this out of the network, destroy this database, right? There's so many things that the agents to them put together can do. Unmanaged agent sponsorship lifecycle. We need to be able to put guardrails to ensure that the agents are deployed timely. If it's a short term, 1 year, 6 month, whatever the case may be, we put those rules in place, right? We need someone to sponsor it. Who is going to be accountable for the agent and all the access it has? And of course, as humans, we deal with this every single day, overprivileged and unprotected agents. We still want to be able to ensure that the agents are rolled out with the right level of permissions. Overprivilege leads to data leakage, data poisoning, right? And we need to be able to give the agent an identity, right? Otherwise, there's no way for us to put all these controls in. And let's face it, AI adoption is outpacing control, right? The business wants to roll out AI as fast as possible, and now security is once again a bottleneck. We don't want that to happen. So here's how we look at in terms of how we want to implement a layered security for an AI solution, right? What's the top thing you see there? Identity and access. Zero trust is still here today. We want zero trust to still be the foundational control for agents. It needs to have an identity. Without that, we can't do anything else. I cannot apply data security models to it. I can't do network perimeter controls. If you look at this, this is basically the same thing you've been doing for humans for the last 10 years, right? Same, but different. In terms that we want to be able to apply the same rules to a human we do today to agents. If we can look at that model and apply it to agents, then we can give you the controls to ensure that they're protected. Now, I've given you the landscape. I've given you where the threat actors can potentially penetrate these areas of the model. And now I'm going to have Sergio kind of walk you through what we're doing today around that.
Excellent presentation. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Well, Mitch has been hitting on AI, right? The AI journey. We know we've all started this maybe 3 years back. I think we all know there is productivity gains and we see them. Some of the challenges we have is how are we going to scale that, right? When we're talking about AI productivity for the worker, we're talking about like your co-pilot, you being able to do a little bit more, improve your workflows. But when we start talking to the business about innovation and they're looking at agents and how they can improve workflows, automate things, and scale it to the business so that they can improve what the business is looking to improve, right? So it moves from productivity to innovation and innovation for the business. So at Microsoft, it all starts with human ambition. We look at everyone and we want everyone to have a co-pilot so that they can improve their productivity at work. But as we look at the agentic side, and I'm not talking about autonomous agents, I'm talking about agentic in the sense that agents are created, there are safeguards in place, there are ways to observe and monitor what's in place and align to the guardrails that Mitch was mentioning there. So when we can work with our co-pilots and our co-pilots can work with agents, we can get a lot more done. And that's what we see for the future with Copilot and agentic AI. But making sure that we can do it with governance so that the business can feel comfortable scaling. So 3 out of 4 people are using AI at work, right? And this statistic is from 2024. So you can imagine where it's at today, right? Back then, 75% of people are already using AI at work. 46% started less than 6 months ago. So we know it's here. And we know I hear questions about AI just all across the scale. I hear things like, well, you know, we like Copilot, but we like this other AI tool better because the pictures it can create, or we like the way it prompts. And these are all great things, right? You know, and it's great when you think of it from like a consumer side. But when you're having to secure this and manage this for the business, we need to make sure that we can have the security in place so that we don't have those data leaks, so that we have a way of managing everything that's created. Now, who here knows exactly how many agents are in your environment today? So we want to make sure that we can give you the tools that you need to observe what's in your environment so that you can protect it. I work with Microsoft Purview mostly with most of my customers. And when we're protecting sensitive information, I make sure that they know the tools available to them where they can find their sensitive information so that they can then go protect it with information protection labels, DLP, insider risk, and so on. So we want to do the same thing. And like Mitch pointed out, the way we've managed identities for users, we want to make sure we can have those same guardrails for agents. Bring your own AI is not just for Gen Zs, right? So employees across every age group are using this. So, you know, sometimes I have conversations about the demographics and what AI means to different people. For seasoned professionals, I'll usually mention AI can sound like job insecurity, right? Like, is it going to take my job? But for a student graduating from college or high school, AI is a career, right? You couldn't imagine you're a young person about to graduate and they're not preparing themselves with AI. I work with state, local governments and education. And I remember when I went to school, I had to memorize things, multiple choice. And I mean, I'd write essays and things like that. But a lot of it was just making sure I could give back what I was supposed to know, right? But I would say as education moves forward, it's going to be who's the most curious, who can prompt the best, right? It's not going to be so much memorization anymore. And if you think of all the insights that we have in the world, all the research that's been done, it could be cancer, right? Medical teams have looked at it. But what if you were curious enough to prompt some of that research and say, hey, take a engineering skill set, think like a NASA engineer. Bring some aerospace into what research has been done and tell me, can you bring some new insights for us to attack cancer, right? That's curiosity. And that's where AI is going to come in. So for the demographics, sometimes we have to level set. We understand we're all at different places. But what's coming is here. And how we work with it, how we embrace it, how we secure the business is going to help us improve the future for the workforce. So agents are becoming ubiquitous. They're everywhere. So now let's focus on how we can start getting that control. 1.3 billion agents are predicted to be in the workforce by 2028. And I was thinking to myself, I can get my iPhone out and I can put some apps. Are there 1.3 billion apps available for me to put on my iPhone? I don't know. I don't think so. But if you think of just how many agents are coming to the workforce that are going to be skilled, right? And when I say skilled, it's not skilled to take your job, right? It's skilled in how you want it to think. I gave you the example about thinking like a NASA engineer, right? Focused on medical science, specifically for cancer, grounded in cancer research. That's a skill that my agent can use, right? So we've got a lot of agents that are being created. There's, I would imagine, on the flip side, when you look at your cybersecurity, the bad actors are also leveraging this technology to try to bring out more vulnerabilities out there and exploit them. So is your organization ready? Are we asking the right questions? Can we track and monitor all agents today? Do we know what agents are doing? Do we have proper guardrails for agents and people that interact with them? Are agents protected? Do they have the right access? And can they leak sensitive data? So just like we would protect an identity if Sergio was to join Datavox, Sergio would be given a workstation. That workstation would have access to Datavox's information. I may work with sensitive information. Are there security controls in place to, number one, make sure that my identity when I sign on is the right person? If I'm sending information to my personal Dropbox, my personal Gmail, is there data security to protect that sensitive information from leaving and going to an unapproved location, right? So we want to do the same thing in managing these agents. So the compounding impact of agent sprawl across SaaS, endpoints, and cloud. So for the SaaS agents, asking questions, what agents are employees using via the internet? What are the risk levels of the SaaS agents? What information is being shared and what information is shared with these agents? For those endpoint agents, what's being installed? I don't know if anybody's seen any of the YouTube videos on installing OpenClaw, right? You got to get some kind of device to install it, right? And the OpenClaw is an autonomous agent, right? And is this installed anywhere in our fleet? Do we have visibility to know if it's in our environment? So asking questions, what security guardrails are built in to these agents and what access and permissions are the employees granting to the agents, right? When we ground it in information, we are giving these agents the ability to reason over it, right? And for cloud agents, what agents are being developed on various clouds and AI platforms? What vulnerabilities can potentially be exploited by attackers? And what built-in guardrails does the platform provide, right? So when I'm usually speaking on topics with customers about them preferring another AI over Copilot, that's great. But then when we start getting into the security side, right? Copilot is running in your Microsoft service boundary, right? It's in your tenant. Those large language models, the information, if it's reasoning over SharePoint, stuff in your OneDrive, it's in your service bound, your tenant. But if you're leveraging consumer AI tools, then do you have protection in place to make sure sensitive information isn't going into their data centers where their cloud environments are running, right? Which is outside of the service tenant. So when we start having those discussions, that's usually where we start level setting back on the security controls, right? We're all going to have our own opinions as consumers of which ones we like the best. And for our companies and the companies we support, they're going to have their innovation that they want to do for the IT business, right? They want to stay ahead. They want to make sure that they can be an AI-led company, right? Microsoft likes to use the word frontier company, right? And for CISOs and the security teams, you know, they just want to secure whatever the business is purchasing and bringing into the environment, right? They want to have the right security tools. And sometimes we'll go into conversations about, are we licensed correctly for how we're going to secure it? So a lot of those discussions come in as we look at this. Now on May 1st, this month, Microsoft Agent 365 was released. So many of you, if you have a Copilot and you have access to your admin center, you may already be able to turn this on, right? There'll be a frontier option to enable it, and this will give you the abilities to start tracking these agents, right? So M365 or Agent 365 is a control plane for agents. So we talked about observation, we talked about governance and securing. So being able to monitor and manage agents in real time, establish guardrails for agents and users, and protect agents comprehensively is what Agent 365 is geared to do. So we'll start with the observation. So agents can come from many different sources in most organizations. Everyone from professional developers that use Pro Code, maybe they're using Azure AI Foundry, or maybe they're using Copilot Studio for low code, no code type agent building. Or maybe they're leveraging the ability to create agents with their Copilot, right? Finding ways to be more productive, right? It can start from, you know, Sergio working with this Copilot to Sergio building out specific agents with low code, no code Copilot Studio, grounded to do specific things, skilled and trained to do what I want it to do. So how do we gain more observation around this? So what do you need to observe? Well, we know that agents are coming from everywhere. We talked about SaaS agents. So I work with customers that are not just on the M365 cloud, they are also working with other cloud services, or they have a line of business application that is in their environment. Well, everybody is creating their own agents for everything. So how are we going to track what's being used in our environment? For the developers, you know, we talked about the pro code developers, low code developers, to just people building agents, right? We know it's coming in. We know that in 2028, there's going to be 1.3 billion agents out there. Users are installing and running agents on their devices. We know there's MCP servers. They're accessing APIs. Maybe they're just grounded in their OneDrive, or maybe they're grounded into a database. So we need to know what agents are present within the org and who's using them. So when we monitor and manage agents in real time, do you have the visibility into all agents running in your environment, installing those built outside the Microsoft ecosystem? Can you easily understand what agents are doing, where they're running, and how often they're executed? And how are you tracking and managing those? So 29% of employees have turned to unsanctioned AI agents for work tasks, right? So everybody might have the right intent, but we want to make sure that it's sanctioned for the business and that we have visibility so that we can scale this.